Morning, everybody. I'd like to open the meeting at 9:09, and I would just like to officially welcome Rob Hayward as our CEO, and I'd also like to acknowledge Wendy and Brian Newman that's in the gallery to see Rob's first morning. So welcome to them as well. All right, let's get started. Can I have someone to confirm the minutes of the ordinary meeting on the 24th of July 2024? Councillor Vincent.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 24th of July 2024 be confirmed.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright. All those in favour? 9-0. Could I also have someone move confirmation of the minutes of the special meeting on the 7th of August 2024? Councillor Brompton.
I move that the minutes of the special meeting held on 7th of August 2024 be confirmed.
I have a seconder. Councillor Davis. All those in favour? 9-0. Moving on to 8.1, Regional Arts Development Fund, RADF Committee, Amendment to Council Representatives. Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council update their membership on the Regional Arts Development Fund, RADF, to be Councillor Joanne Hancock as previously approved, and Portfolio Chair Arts and Cultural Councillor Meryl Brumpton.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, thank you. Madam Mayor, this is just to update our membership on the RADF. There's two councillors that sit on that committee, and I would just like to acknowledge that previously those two councillors was myself and yourself, Mayor, and I would like to thank you for all that you contributed to part of that committee.
I don't think I was an asset.
I believe you were, and so does the committee. And when yourself and I took on that on behalf of council 4 years ago, there wasn't much uptake from the community with our RADF funding, and we've been able to work really hard with the committee to be able to turn that around, and we're now seeing some amazing uptake from the community and some incredible projects that are being put through the RADF funding and going right across the region. There are some exciting projects on the books to continue on for this next term of council, which I'll be excited to work with Councillor Brumpton with those and the committee. But for me, I actually just want to acknowledge your contribution to the committee as Councillor Taylor in the last term. So thank you so much.
Thank you very
and
much.
as Mayor Taylor for a little bit of this term.
Thank you very much. That's an overstatement, that bit. Anyone against? Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Brumpton.
I'd just like to thank you for the nomination, and really looking forward to, as Portfolio Chair Arts and Culture, getting into the portfolio, and this is the first official step towards that. So really looking forward to working with the committee. I've seen some of the great work that's been done through the committee and looking forward to it to continue. Thanks.
Very good. Anyone else like to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 10.1, Committee Representation, Regional Development Australia, Darling Downs and Southwest, the RDADDSW Committee Member. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move the council endorse submission of application for Councillor Joanne Hancock seeking to be considered for a committee member position on the Regional Development Australia, RDA, Darling Downs and Southwest Committee.
I have a seconder. Councillor Brompton. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, I will, thanks, Mayor. RDA plays an important role in advocating for a significant part of southwestern Queensland and Darling Downs, in fact all of it, and we are in the central of this particular region. I can't recall in the time of RDA there being a representative from our geography on RDA, Darling Downs and Southwest. I think it would be advantageous for us to have a representative. RDA's work centres around driving the economies of this part of Queensland, and with Councillor Hancock's portfolio as Economic Development Portfolio Chair for Council, I just think this is a perfect role for her to be considered for, and to represent the interest of the communities in the central part of the Darling Downs and Southwest area for RDA. So I encourage all councillors to support this nomination.
Anybody against? Anybody else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 11.1, Council Policy Investigation Policy. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move the council, 1, adopt the updated council policy, investigation policy as presented. 2, rescind all previous versions of the investigation policy. And 3, upload the updated investigation policy to council's public website.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Sure. This is required upon us to have an investigation policy. It's very clear as to what this policy would be used for if triggered, and I have no problem in moving it today.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak or ask any questions of the director? No? Okay, we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0.
Thanks, Grace.
Thank you.
1, 2, 6. 11.2, 23-24 Quarter 4 Progress Report Operational Plan to the 30th of June 2024. Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1, receive and note the 2023-24 Quarter 4 report. 2, endorse the Quarter 4 report as presented in accordance with Section 104(7) of the Local Government Act 2009. 3, publish the Quarter 4 report on Council's website accordingly.
I have a seconder. Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Yes. We've looked at a previous quarter report since the new council has come into being. This is tidying up last financial year's report. We've acknowledged that the new council would like to see this in a different format going forward, but at this stage, given where we're at and we're tidying up last financial years, I'm happy to endorse this in its standard, but would like to see a better quality in going forward from now on.
Thank you. Anyone against? Anyone else like to speak? Anyone have any questions for the staff? No? Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. You're still sitting there? Yeah. Okay. 11.3, Monthly Financial Report as of the 30th of June 2024. Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council receive and note the preliminary monthly financial report for the period ended 30th of June 2024.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright. Does anybody have any questions? Anyone want to speak?
I'll just ask a question with regard to the FAGs grant. The money we received goes into this financial year, that's right? Like
That's
it's
right.
not included in this 30th of June report.
No, I think we got it on the 2nd of July. Yeah, that's right.
That's
yeah.
correct, yeah.
And the other question or the other comment I would make is with regard to monthly or financial reports for the various business units. In previous councils, we always had these reports. I think something that has occurred in the last week or so could possibly have been avoided if we had known more about it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Councillor Hancock?
Just want to make a statement, actually.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
I just want to make a statement, really.
Yes,
Just wanted to acknowledge that the operating result total for the end of 30 June 2024 is actually $27 million in deficit, not as originally budgeted, which was, I think, around $29,000, which was the original budget at the start of the year. So I just want the community to know the truth of how that budget actually ended up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I have a question. The Roma Pool, it says here, in progress, major projects. The Roma Pool design in progress. Haven't we already done it? The design?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the Roma Pool design's in progress. It's all but finalised and just about to go to tender. So, So last meeting we approved a short list of tenderers to go to tender. So
that means it's gone to tender. It's not about the design because the design's already done?
I'd probably describe the design as about 95% complete. It's just getting put into the tender documents now. So.
I have another question. On page 66, the long distance coach stop program. Where's it going in your bar?
The long distance coach stop for Yulba at the moment's planned for opposite the tennis courts and that's a preliminary location. We've been talking to Director Steve about a little bit more community consultation on that. It currently is in front of the Yulba Hotel, but to put a fully compliant bus stop at that location requires a shelter and a fair bit of concrete apron. It will really take away from the face of the Yulba Hotel if we do. Picture as you go through Muckadilla, there's a couple there, and we had to work very closely with the pub out at Muckadilla to make sure we didn't deface the front of the pub there. So that site's been flagged initially, but there is still some consultation to be done with the community to make sure that that's the location. There has been some preliminary discussion at Yulba Development Group on the current location, but we have heard that there is concerns about it. So I just said to Director Steve that we'll need to just revisit that to make sure that the community is comfortable with that location.
Thank you. Did anybody else have any questions?
Sorry, I do have a question. Sorry.
Councillor Vincent?
Yeah, just a follow up on the Katy Valley Road upgrade there. The tender's closed on the 20th of May. Are we soon to see the results of that tender?
Councillor Vincent, that's correct. We've got tenders closed. They are considerably above the current project budget, so we're just currently working on discussions with tenderers so we can bring a fairly wholesome report to council to say here's what we think we can achieve with the approved budget. We've also just had to go back to the funding agency because the original approved scope versus what the market is telling us we're able to deliver is a little bit different. So we just want to get all that in order. To say next meeting might be a little bit premature, but it would be probably the first meeting in September for that report.
Councillor Hancock, you had a question?
Yeah, just with the business units on page 75 and 76, some of these are over budget, and I'm just wondering, it would be really handy in the future if we had like a statement or something as to why they might be. For instance, the quarry employee costs, it says it's 115% and it's over budget, yet actually when I look across the line, I actually can't see where it's over budget because it's 828,148.
That was reduced. If you look at the next column, Councillor Hancock, the current budget. See, the original budget was 880 and then the budget was reduced to 661 and then the actual was 758. So they must have been reduced in a budget review.
That's correct.
Right, but then it's gone over, but it hasn't actually gone over the original amount that we first budgeted for.
Correct.
Radio. And there's also, like down over on the water, the employees' costs have gone over budget again. And yeah, I just think a little explanation might help us today.
Okay.
Especially when it's employee costs and.
Just to follow up on Councillor Hancock's with that, I did notice in the notes for the airport that, because they're over as well for the employee costs, they only had a note for 4%, a 4% unplanned increase for a contracted employee. Just doesn't explain the other, like the larger amount that's showing.
Can I just ask why water would run at a loss? I mean, it's in the rates, isn't it? So are we...
We did discuss that at briefing, wasn't it? Yeah. Because of a lot of the ones that we own, our parks and gardens, get charged. Is that correct? We talked about that.
Unmetered.
Not unmetered, because of the unmetered ones.
Yeah, through you, Chair. It's a good question, and it's probably something that this council needs to continue to have a look at. Like, yeah, you are right. Water should be a fully cost recoverable item.
Well,
I suppose the levers we've got is the fees and charges and the rates that council looked at this year in the water space. as well as our materials and services review that's been approved and is currently underway there. So obviously it is running at a current loss. I think that the two things that you guys have got in place would start to help address that with the rates that were adopted as part of 24-25, plus the materials and services review. But it's a fair comment. Water running at a loss is probably an easy one to be able to address there. So.
I just got another one too, sorry. The washdown pad, it was coming into the income of the sale yards. We were going to show it separate. I'm on page 74.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. We'll have to just take that one on notice and make sure that that's reported separately going forward. So
Thank
just
you.
In the next.
just the sale yards wash down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Has anybody else got any questions? We had a second and move. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I
You're
was
right.
late.
Go on.
I just, page 62 regarding the sale yards, the special project, the Roma Sale Yards multipurpose facility. Immediate repairs and defects included in the second last paragraph. Are we able to get some sort of briefing about that and what that includes? And maybe we just join it all with any kind of special projects we have on the go, just so that council knows what's included in that?
Yes, thank you. That's not a problem at all. It is on there. We've just had a couple of assessments done in the last month out there, and we're in a very good position to probably provide you a full update now on that. So there's a few emails as of early as yesterday just going around on that. So no, thank you, and it's probably a timely reminder for that.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've got another question. I'm on page 62. The airport, the Airbnb leases, are we any closer to that happening so that they actually pay?
Can I just make a comment? Should I leave the room?
Nothing to do with your role out there, is it?
Can I
It's
just
the matter.
ask to take that on
matter.
notice for me?
We can follow that up.
Yeah.
Madam. Yep.
Yeah, just, yeah. I mean, this is going back to January and we're in August. And I'm assuming they still haven't paid anything if the lease is not done.
I think they pay monthly, don't they? Did I read that? Not since January.
Okay.
Oh, not since January.
Anybody got any other questions? Okay, who moved? Do you want to sum up? Yes, sorry.
So in terms of summing up, I think some of the questions had been raised by councillors around the budget figures. We worked out when we were working out this year's budget, there was numerous holes and inconsistencies in the way the budget last year was worked up. So we know some of those figures aren't really indicative of actual costs around the budget. So we're just hoping that for this coming year, the amount of rigour we've put into the budget development, we will actually have much more rigorous figures around each month's income and expenditure. Going on what Councillor Hancock said, just pointing out again, we've got a $27 million deficit. Part of that is because the FAGS grant came in this financial year of 13.6 million. Even though that made a worse position for last year, it actually positions us better this year because now we've got the grant coming in the year it's going to be expended. So hopefully for this year that will assist us. But in terms of where we're at and some of the reporting, we know we can only get better, and hopefully with the amount of rigour with Acting CEO Cameron's help that we've put into this year's budget, going forward we'll be a lot more informed on where we're at for each of these projects and line items.
Very well said, thank you. Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. 12.1, Yulbar APLNG Project Water Play Tender Consideration Plan. Looking forward to this one. Do I have a mover?
Madam Mayor, we didn't
You
get
have
to
to
this.
speak up, Joe, I'm sorry, my ears are really bad
We
today.
didn't get to this in the briefing yesterday.
No.
So I'm just wondering, is there something that the officer would like to tell us about, or are we putting this off for in a briefing? Or is this of the dates are important?
Yeah.
Through the chair, this one's fine. Like the briefing yesterday was just a general update on the project as a whole. This report here, councillors, is seeking a tender consideration plan for the water play park there. As outlined in the report, we went out to tender. We got one response, significant significantly over budget. We have worked with the supplier of the water play equipment, and they've put us in touch with their recommended installer. And what this tender consideration plan would do, it's the early stages. Council are not bound by this, but a tender consideration plan needs to be done in two parts. First, approve for a tender consideration to be prepared. We would then represent a tender consideration plan. At that time, if council is not comfortable with the engagement, we can go back out to tender. But the officer's recommendation, regardless of whether we had the briefing yesterday, this report still sort of stands, and we would be seeking council support. To give you some background and confidence, we've done tender consideration plans for a number of projects, and they've worked very successful. One of the projects was the netball court surfacing, where it was a proprietary product, and we were provided a recommended installer for that product, and we essentially went directly to that supplier. Roma pump track was also delivered under a tender consideration plan, where we have a supplier that's strongly recommended, and that. So that's what the recommendation is today. We've got a manufacturer that has got an approved supplier that warrants their product, that warrants their installation of their product, and that. So, but as I said, this is not appointing anyone today. This is just simply preparing a tender consideration plan. As officers, we will go away then and say, here's the pricing that we receive from the tender. Here's the pricing that we would receive under a tender consideration plan, and it'll be the follow-up report that councillors can seek and get comfortable with that procurement engagement.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Seawright.
And that, after that information, I'm happy to move that the council, in accordance with section 230 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, resolve to prepare a tender consideration plan for construction of the Yulbar water play area.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hancock. Anyone like to speak?
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Thank you. I note in the report the strategic asset management implications that, staff have come back with a figure that the Yulbar, which is similar to Chinchilla Splash Park, is 130 per annum to operate and maintain. I'd like to know more about that, and if we can also add this project to the special projects that come back for a briefing, so that we're across what the project is, and the future funding requirements for that in our budgets.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Seawright, are you right?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour? 9-0. 13.1.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on this particular matter, item 13.1. The request for assistance, Cities Rugby League Football Club, councillor name Peter Flynn. The conflict of having a prescribed conflicts of interest, as the club is an affiliate of an organisation that I am chairman of, being the Roma and District Rugby League, and in the matter I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Flynn has left the meeting. Do I have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move the council consider the request from Cities Rugby League Football Club taking into account their current concessions as specified in the rates and charges rebate and concessions policy.
Do I have a seconder?
Can I, there is Councillor Burkett
Well, I looked at the alternative.
on an email from the
Where I seen it, I think it was in there.
Hoffman this morning at 8:40.
It's on the screen.
Oh, sorry, that's right.
And can I,
I'm happy to change that.
and just before you do, can I ask a question, if that's right? The resolution, if Councillor Burkett moves what he's just foreshadowed, do we need a dollar value in there? And the dollar value needs to
Go to a general ledger.
be attributed somewhere.
Well, I move we lay this on the table till we get that information till later in the meeting.
All those in favour? 8-0.
I forgot that. I thought it was looking for it here.
Councillor Flynn is back in the room. 14.1, Indian Professional Radio Association.
13.2.
103.
Sorry?
103.
13.2. You missed
Oh,
some.
sorry, 103. I thought it was a long way away. Can't forget the park run. Wendy. 13.2, new initiative, Surat Park Run. Do I have a mover? Oh, Councillor Hancock.
Firstly, for our move, welcome Jess to your first council meeting. Councillors, maybe I'll let, I don't know if our new CEO's met Jess.
I did. Jess and I knew together. Jess, actually, I met Jess this morning, so she's only a couple of weeks into the job and obviously hitting the ground running with the Cop & Co. experience happening. So, but yeah, we've only just met this morning too, so we're both...
So Jess is the new LDO from Surat. So welcome to our first council meeting.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
And I will move it, but I do have a question, if that's okay. I'll be really kind. So through the chair, in the recommendation, it just says to provide support to ensure the route is safe for participants. Can you just tell me what that means, please, Georgie or Jess?
All right. Do you want to take it? Through you, Mayor. Councillor Hancock, more so just ensuring that the route that the committee has opted for is the best possible route that they can do, the 5 kilometres. So just working with TMR and council to ensure that's the right route that they're going to take, not ensuring that each week that council staff are down there checking the route or anything like that.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. Well, on that, I'm happy to move a bit of an amendment to what the officers recommended. I'm going to move that Council 1 receive and note the report and Surat Park Run Committee's initiative to establish a park run event in Surat. 2, continue to work with the committee and assist in event planning for their first park run event.
I have a second, Councillor Burkett. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, I do. Thank you. This is really exciting. This has been bubbling in the background for, I would say, at least 4 years.
At least.
Yeah. One of the first times at a meet and greet in Surat, met some lovely couple who are teachers, and they do park run, and they were so enthusiastic about being able to get a park run up and going in Surat, and so spent the time, which I think has actually been really valuable, to do their homework, to work out the best way, to work with the STDA. I would like to acknowledge the STDA and Secretary Wendy Newman in supporting this committee to be able to get up and going for this park run, and then working with council to be able to make it happen. And so I'm really excited about this. I can tell you that whilst this couple have been talking about it for 4 years, it's been going on, the chat about park run in Surat could have been about 10 years, to be honest. And so it's really exciting that this might be happening in our little neck of the woods and offer such great health benefits and mental benefits to our little community. It also provides economic development to the community because I didn't actually quite realise, but there is parkrun fanatics who they travel all over the place to do park runs in different towns, and you can do towns by alphabets, and like there's all these amazing events that can go on to the park runs. So I'm really excited that's come to Surat. So thank you for bringing it forward, and I'll look forward to cheering on the very first park run people.
It's free, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Burke.
Yeah, I applaud the Surat community for getting this up and running, and congratulations to you, Jess, for having a little bit of involvement at the end. You can take the bit of the credit now. I think it's great for all age groups, all shapes, sizes, abilities, like it caters for everyone, and I think it's great to get people in the community out and about in the fresh air and actually getting off these type of things. And fully supported.
Very good. Anyone else like to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
14.1, In-June Professional Rodeo Association Incorporated User Agreement for the In-June Rodeo and Cutting Grounds. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I move, Madam Mayor, that council enter into a non-exclusive user agreement with the In-June Professional Rodeo Association Incorporated for a period of 5 years for the use of the In-June Rodeo and Cutting Grounds, and to authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to execute the user agreement with the In-June Professional Rodeo Association Incorporated.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vincent.
Got a question, please.
Yes, Councillor Plum.
Just a question about, I see in the previous resolution, public liability insurance was asked for the value of 10 million. I understood nowadays it's normally 20 million, and I can't see a reference to a $20 million public liability on that.
It's in the agreement, Meryl.
That- I did briefly see it, but it does say the 20 million, does it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I made
must have
note
missed
of
it.
that as well.
Okay.
Can I just make a comment on that as an organiser of sporting bodies? There is a significant cost for bodies to go from the 10 million to 20 million in your insurance policies. I'm a little bit against the fact that we've got all this $20 million stuff coming through. And John will probably understand that.
Or even from private businesses, the same, they're all jacked up.
I know it's most, and all, I believe, council tenders or documents say it, but there is a cost to not-for-profit organisations to implement it.
Does it have to be 20 million? Is that the law?
Through the chair, it's councils are self-insures through the local government scheme, and so there are our costs for our insurance takes into consideration what we require from other bodies. I certainly could go to the insurers and provide further information to
Just ask the
some
question.
Yeah, and just find out what the cost would be to council, or whether or not that causes some discomfort on the part of our insurers if we're not insisting on the $20 million. It is usual practice
Yep.
these days, but I can certainly bring that information back to council.
Thank you. Councillor Hancock?
I have a question through the chair. Chair, I note that in the last resolution, when we put this through, we actually had included charge no hire fee for the use of the In-June Rodeo and Cutting Grounds. Why isn't that in this resolution?
So through the chair, the lease agreements have been updated and standardised, so it is usual practice with council's policy for the groups to then request a fee waiver for their events rather than have it actually in the lease agreement. So it's done on a...
But these guys are... So is it just for... But if we put it as part of the resolution, then they don't have to. They just know as part of their user group agreement that they actually have, they're not going to be charged a higher fee.
Councillor Hancock, under councils, so the blanket hire fee says council's fees and charges adopted for each financial year in respect of the facilities. So if there is no charge for the not-for-profits or for these groups in our fees and charges, then they're not charged a fee. If council change that over the 5-year period, it's just to reflect that rather than to lock that in.
And when it says a non-exclusive, so in other words, other people can use those grounds, is that correct?
Thank you, Councillor Hancock. Yes, the non-exclusive use means that other people can hire the venue through the normal booking process, and the requirement of the club is to do the booking for their annual events and for any events that they do, so that we know that, when the rodeo is on, no other events will be booked at that time. That's part of our booking process that allows that. The non-exclusive use means that other people are allowed to hire the venue and to do events there. If we said exclusive use, it would mean that would preclude anyone else from using the grounds. So definitely this club has the right to do the activities as listed in the agreement, and they make the bookings to ensure that during the event, as with any hire, you have exclusive use of the area that you've hired, but it just means that other times other people may hire the venue.
Councillor
Is that-
Davis? Oh,
Yeah, no, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I thought it meant.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I have no problem with the group, coming and requesting that, and leaving that out of the resolution. What my question is about is how it is actually done, the fee waivers. Like I acknowledge that the directors have financial delegation, but I think that the decision to waive fees and forgo revenue for council needs to be made in the council chambers. Is that something that we can, how has that happened already? Is that a policy we can look at?
Councillor Davis, I understand that there's a fee, that there is a council policy, but it may be under review. I have brought that up
That's how they've
with some
done
other officers.
it. In previous time with council, the council passed a pass a policy on the fee waiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes here first, and then it's actually the staff enacted. When the policy was last reviewed, I have to go back and have a look. But that's how certainly have done it. Council actually pays their fees and charges, and they do actually fee waiver policy there, and the groups have to meet certain criteria, and then the officers enact it. So it just saved every request coming back to council table. So
I
we
think
can
that's
have
in
a
the
look.
last 2 years that we reviewed that. So it's timely that comes back to this council for
Update, yeah.
endorsement.
Yes, noted that is something that I had raised that needed to be
Councillor
reviewed.
Vincent?
Yeah, just on that, it might be included in the grants policy that we're still waiting to see, the
Oh, yeah.
in-kind
Yes,
and grants
it is.
policy, so is being reviewed. And on the non-exclusive, the Indian Cutting Club would also have a non-exclusive use of that grounds as well. The question, sorry, getting to my question, is that standard for all the other groups that have got non-exclusive use of, or exclusive use of showgrounds? I'd mention some, but there's people that would then have a conflict, so is it standard?
Councillor Vincent, the schedule of the hire details, that is our usual lease agreement. There may be occasions where there are particular circumstances to do with a venue or the way a user group uses something where there will be variations, but each of those are brought to council. So this is a fairly standard agreement that you will see with the user groups.
I might be able to comment on that. If you look at the rugby league semi-finals last week at Bassett Park, there was a significant pony club event going on in the background. So it's a non-exclusive venue.
Yes,
And it's
yeah.
up to users to agree to use the venue between themselves.
And they would both have applied to
That's
get a
right.
fee waiver for those two events?
No, there's no fee waiver. I don't know about the pony club, but there's no fee waiver actually for the other organisation that I'm
Yep.
tied up.
But anybody has the right to apply for a fee waiver, which is, I think,
Yeah, right.
that's the fairness across the across
standard, yeah.
because everyone has different setups within their different
Yeah.
Yep.
places, but everybody has the right to apply for a fee waiver, and if you're a club or an organisation for not for profit. So I think that's the fairness across the region.
Anybody else have any questions? Councillor Flynn, would you like to, would you like to sum
I'm
up?
quite happy.
You're good?
We have no
All
one
right,
actually
well, let's go to the
I
vote.
don't think
No,
anyone
it's
has
just been
spoken.
questions.
Sorry?
No one
Oh,
has spoken.
oh,
There's-
Councillor Flynn, does anybody want to speak?
I didn't think you spoke in favour, did you?
No, it's all been questions.
Question.
Oh, did you want to speak for it?
No, I didn't. I don't. I think everything's been
thought you
discussed.
did.
Yeah. I'm quite happy with the motion as is.
Anybody else like to speak? I need a cup of coffee. Okay. All those in favour? 9-0. Is that it for the open?
Until we come back, yeah, we're laid one on the.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And we're wording that resolution up now, councillors, so we'll deal with the bonus.
Yeah. Do we have anybody with any conflicts before we go into closed? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I wish to declare a conflict of interest. The item number is C8. It's the Roma Country Music Festival, amendments to memorandum of understanding. The declaring councillor is myself, Amber Davis, and my husband Wayne Davis. We own and operate Bessie's Ice Cream Bus and may apply to trade at this event. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and I choose to leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Councillor Seawright.
I have a conflict of interest on C9, request for letter of support for Bioenergy Group project. The declaring councillor is myself, Brendan Seawright. The persons of interest related party is myself and my wife, Kristen Seawright. My wife and I own land in close vicinity to the proposed development allotment. It is a declarable conflict of interest, and although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Anybody want to move anything?
A question.
You have a question?
How close?
There's an allotment between us that it belongs to that person as well, but it's not a.
So they're your neighbours?
They're my neighbours, but there's still a separate allotment that at any point in time can be sold or changed or anything like that. So we're not not directly beside the allotment that's chosen for the development.
How far away from the allotment chosen for the development?
Oh, I think it's a 160 acre block in between us and the neighbour. At this point,
Kilometres, 1 kilometre?
Depends what the configuration.
configuration of the block. There'd probably be maybe 500 metres across the allotment to my boundary. So.
Personally, I think it might be a bit close,
Yes.
That's fine. That's why I put it to the meeting.
just, not in my opinion, I don't know.
Well, I guess for me, it was about what we were talking about yesterday in the briefing and the effects that it might have on neighbours.
That we haven't had a briefing on yet.
And the matter is a letter of support. That is the matter that we're going to vote on today.
Well, that's true too.
But still,
I thought we were going to lay it on the.
Oh, yeah.
I think we were talking about laying on the table. Though.
No, I think we had a
yeah,
more solid resolution than just laying it on the table.
yeah, it was something.
Through the Mayor, yesterday there was a proposal put for Council's consideration to at least receive and note the request and request a briefing on the matter.
Action out of yesterday's.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, that doesn't really give him a conflict.
I
on
think
that.
it is.
That part, maybe the next time would. Hey.
Yeah. I don't
Because
know,
we're not-
CEO?
We're not enacting anything today.
Hey?
When in doubt, I'd always say councillors, just when in doubt. It's one of those ones that is. There's probably arguments both sides there. Regarding what the request is, at this stage, it's fairly. We're not making any decisions on it, but I always say just when in doubt. It's best to exclude. It should be a fairly quick matter to deal with, but I always say just when in doubt. It's one of those ones that there's an argument to the other side, but look, you can take some legal advice, but it's I think would be a fairly simple discussion anyway. So I'd probably just step out.
Well, because it's changed even a bit since you were probably last in, Rob.
Yeah.
Changed it a bit
So
more.
Councillor Seawright's done the right thing. He's put it to
Okay.
us. He needs us to
Yes.
decide. So I'll move that that Councillor Seawright does not participate and vote on agenda item C9.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Brumpton. All those in favour?
Sorry, well, I missed it.
I
Does or does not?
Does not.
Does not.
Okay.
All those in favour? How many is that? 7. Oh, yeah, 7. All against?
8.
You
No,
didn't-
7, because
You haven't. You haven't voted.
You can't vote.
Yeah. 7 for.
Hang on.
Against?
Hang on.
voting?
Are
Are
you
you
conflict
abstaining?
on the same?
No, I'm happy to.
Oh, you're
He's
voting
voting
against.
against.
You're
Okay,
voting
sorry.
against. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Against? 1. Yeah. 7-1. Okay, we got that sorted. Councillor Vincent.
You've got a conflict of interest on item C15, NG Museum, the Diane Gibson Artwork and Drive Trail Map. declaring councillors myself, Councillor Jane Vincent. The related party is my mother, Janice Humphreys. Janice is the Secretary of CHIPS, who have the user agreement at the Inju Museum. It is a prescribed conflict of interest, and I will leave the room when the matter is discussed.
Okay. Someone want to move that we go into closed?
Who has
Councillor-
another turn at this?
I'll do it, yeah.
You right? Councillor Brompton?
In accordance with the provisions of section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, I move that council resolve to close the meeting to the public at 9:55 a.m. to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider is necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with section 245J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed, an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. C1, request to repurchase 4 Denton Court Injune. C2, Denton Court subdivision. C3, Department of Resources special lease renewals over Lot 8 on WT 384 and Lot 9 on WT 384. C4, renewal of term lease 0/230394, Lot 5 on TM 59. C5, renewal of term lease 0/203170, Lot 64 on DL 58. C6, renewal of term lease 0/206332, Lot 5 on MAR 16. C7, renewal of term lease 0/20170, Lot 141 WT 259. C8, Roma Country Music Festival, amendments to Memorandum of Understanding. C9, request for letter of support Bioenergy Group project. C10, Audit Committee, appointment of external members. C11, request for waiver of interest, assessment number 130000690. C12, Queensland Remembers Grants Program Round 4, consideration of project nominations. C13, Headache Hill Quarry business case. C14, Roma Saleyards Memorial Wall nominations. C15, Inju Museum, Diane Gibson artwork and drive trail map. LC1, Australian Government's Housing Support Program project nominations.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. All those in favour? 9-0. We're now in closed. Just noting that Councillor Peter Flynn is not in the room at the moment. All right, so we're just going to go back to the one we laid on the table, which was 13.1, request for assistance City Rugby League Football Club. Do I have a mover? Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that 1, thank Cities Rugby League Football Club for writing to council in relation to the matter. 2, agree to waive with all remaining rates, water capped at 30,000 kilolitres, sewage charges for the land owned by Cities Rugby League Football Club and described as Lot 2 on R86102. 3, note the value of the remaining charges for the 2024-25 financial year is valued at $8,673.28 from Community Group's Rates Concession GL 2948.2021. 4, amend the rates and charges rebate and concessions policy to include a waiver of sewage charges for the Cities Rugby League Football Club, assessment number 140-29425. 5, note the above is based on the fact that the facility provides direct sport and recreation benefit for the Maranoa and broader community. And 6, work with Cities Rugby League Football Club to optimise watering periods to assist with water supply and pressure management for neighbouring properties.
I have a seconder. Councillor O'Neill. Any questions?
I have a question.
Councillor Davis.
I'd just like to know, we already waive a considerable amount of rates and water charges. What the cities are looking to waive is the pedestals, the sewage and the garbage. Why do council actually charge for those charges? Is it because there is a cost to delivering that?
Deb, jump in if there's any questions, but anything that I've clarified, but I can speak to that initially from an infrastructure point of view. firstly, it's what council's previously done, and it's as per the revenue statement. So that's sort of, it's following the charging is following our current policy. The background to that though is obviously it's accessing our infrastructure multiple times using the infrastructure and that. So generally, in the past, it's been charged on a per pedestal basis, but that's just as per the current revenue statement and that. But it's to do with the use of the infrastructure for the multiple pedestals. But yeah.
Anybody else got any questions?
I'm happy to speak to it.
Yep.
I'm fully supportive of this, even though they're my arch enemies. But I think that they do a wonderful job in the community, not just for rugby league. They do host numerous events and they support numerous charities. Relay for Life was a big thing in Rome, and they utilise that area for free. They don't charge for anything for people to use their amenities. The pedestal charge is a bugbear for me. It doesn't matter if there's 20 people lining up to use one toilet or 20 people lining up to use 20 toilets, still 20 flushes. It makes for a better facility if there's more toilets so people aren't lined up. So that charge there shouldn't be there anyway, I think. I think also having a sporting field at the entrance to town does make for a good entrance, and I think having nice green fields and clean amenities is a bonus for the town. But I applaud these guys for coming to town, and it puts them on an equal playing field to, no pun intended, to numerous other sporting groups across the area that council run their facilities and do the watering and mowing and everything like that. And so these guys probably host more carnivals to the area, but have to do it all on their own. So this brings it back to level with everyone else. So fully supportive.
Anyone against? Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, I'm going to support this resolution as well. I do know that we do waive considerable amount of funds, but I think that the cost of running clubs has gone up so much substantially over the last few years. Insurance alone has been a real hit on the bank account for clubs, and so I do wish to support them with their water and their waste. And I also do like to support a club who I can actively see tries really hard to support themselves. So I note in the report that they do meat tray raffles every Friday night at the Commonwealth Hotel. You know, they hold several annual functions where they're trying to raise money to put back into their own infrastructure. They manage canteens for Roma and District League finals days. They cater for other sporting events in the community, not just their own events they hold at their place. So I just really applaud the Cities Football Club, who I think do an amazing job for trying to support their own club with thinking outside the box and doing a lot of fundraising to put back into their own infrastructure. They're not just coming to council with their cap in their hand without first putting themselves out there first. And so I just want to applaud them for that. I want to thank them for that. And I want to thank them for the efforts that they put forward for how great that does look when you drive into town from the eastern end. It is that first little taste of our community. It is important that that is really nothing better than driving through a town and seeing a green oval. And so I want to thank them for all that they've done out there in making that club and that space an inviting space for our community.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm going to support this, and I echo the comments that Councillor Hancock has just made in respect that the city's football organisation do a power of work in raising funds to operate at their field. I mean, the reality is the rugby league is a major code for our region, and up until recent years, they've been able to operate with not too much support from council, and that's been changing over the last 4 to 5 years, and it's because of what Councillor Hancock just articulated in the cost of running these not-for-profit organisations. And I think it's just a sad reality that we face as a community, as society now, that things are changing and things are more costly to be able to continue to provide, in this case, a sporting code that a lot of people love in our region. So I'm comfortable with this today, Council, on behalf of the ratepayers, invests a lot of money into fields right across the region that are owned by council, that are community assets, and we're doing that for a number of sporting organisations already. Obviously, the difference here is this is freehold land owned by the not-for-profit organisation, which is Cities Rugby League, and so that's the difference. But for me, I can justify us making this decision today because it is equal pegging then across many of the other sporting organisations that council already supports, and so I'm happy to vote in favour of this today.
Anybody else like to speak? Councillor Vincent?
Just quickly, because I think everybody summed it up pretty well. The other benefit to cities is the ongoing support they give to the Carnarvon Cubs as well with the Junior Rugby League. There is, I wouldn't know how many members with that, but they come from all parts of our region, from out at Injune and around Surat and that. So, yeah, happy to support this one today to put them on an even playing field.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, Councillor Burkett?
Councillor Vincent just stole one of my closing arguments there about the juniors, but it is a big important part of the community is the Junior Rugby League, and if it wasn't for cities taking on the Carnarvon Cubs at the time when we went to Junior Rugby League, we wouldn't know where half these kids would be, what they'd be doing on weekends. So it's a credit to those guys and also the Carnarvon Cubs for forming a partnership and building another field. They're going to have their second clubhouse hopefully in the next year or so up and running. The big thing, and they do a power of work, I agree with Councillor Hancock and O'Neill. A lot of people, I know I wouldn't want to sit in the grandstand, under the grandstand while my teams are playing football in finals time, but they do that every year. They do put their hand up, they get money, but it's a hard job in that under there doing that for a whole day, every day for the finals. But insurance is a killer, like $10,000 straight up the start of the season they've got to fork out. So any little help we can get so people can still play sport, I'm happy to support.
Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. We'll move on to C1.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Request to repurchase 4 Denton Court in June. Do I have a mover? Councillor Crumpton.
I move that Council 1 repurchase the land lot 29 on SP 297126 for the cost of $8,298.36 from Karen and Jared Duval in accordance with clause 3.2 special conditions of contract, and 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to obtain an updated valuation for lot 29 on SP 297126.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Davis, would you like to speak, Councillor Brompton?
I need to say that we are repurchasing this actually as in accordance with the contract of sale, and then we are looking at the current valuation then to make a decision on moving forward with that land.
Anyone like to speak against? Anyone else like to speak for? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C2, Denton Court subdivision. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move the council receive and note the officer's information report as presented.
Have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
No.
Anybody like to speak? I'm going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C3, Department of Resources special lease renewal over lot 8 on WT 384 and lot 9 on WT 384. Sorry. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I move that Council 1 advise the Department of Resources that Council has no objection over the special lease 0/201908 over lot 8
Who's
on...
wrong up there, Wendy? Sorry, me. I think that point 2 has been brought across, is it? Sorry, Councillor, just saying, I think we had a different point 2, didn't we?
Not on this one, I
Not
don't
on
think.
this
Oh, not this one, sorry.
No, this one.
Sorry,
But
Councillor,
point
sorry,
two.
wrong one. Was the
Yeah.
one.
Different one.
It's the
Oh,
two
sorry,
different
no,
lines.
different
Yeah.
lot
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry. Where did I get up to, Nikita? Sorry.
Start again,
Start. I move that council advise the Department of Resources that council has no objection over the special lease 0/201908 over lot 8 on WT 384. 2, advise the Department of Resources that council has no objection over the special lease 0/201909 over lot 9 on WT 384. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to sign documentation in relation to these decisions.
I have a seconder. Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak? Councillor Vincent?
No.
Anybody like to speak? Go the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C4, renewal of term lease O/230394, lot 5 on TM 59. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1 advise the Department of Resources that Council has no objection to term lease 0/206332 over lot 5 on TM 59. 2, request for the inclusion of a covenant over lot 5 on MAR 16 to allow for continual access for all interested parties, adjacent property owners, leaseholders. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to sign documentation in relation to this decision.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, like to speak? Councillor Brompton?
No.
Anybody like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C5, renewal of term lease O/203170, lot 64 on DL 58. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that 1, advise the Department of Resources that council offers no objection to the renewal of term lease 0/203170 over lot 64 on DL 58. 2, ensure the Department of Resources are aware of the encroachment on the adjoining land within the primary stock route lot 117 on DL 488. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to execute documentation in relation to this decision.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak? Councillor Burkett?
No, I'm good.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C6, renewal of term lease O/206332, lot 5 on MAR 16. Do I have a mover? Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1 advise the Department of Resources that it has no objection to the term lease 0/206332 over lot 5 on MAR 16 for the purpose of rural water facility bore site. 2, request the Department of Resources to include a condition in the lease to allow for continuous access to all leaseholders of the term lease over lot 5 on MAR 16. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to sign documentation in relation to this decision.
I have a seconder. Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak? Councillor Brompton, anybody like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C7, renewal of term lease O/201710, lot 141, WT 249. Councillor Davis.
I move that Council 1 notify the Department of Resources it has no objection to the renewal of term lease 0/201710 over lot 141 on WT 249 or converting the tenure to freehold. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to execute documentation in relation to this decision.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, like to speak? Councillor Davis. Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C8.
I'm just out for this one.
Thank you. Councillor Davis is leaving the room for a conflict. C8, Roma Country Music Festival amendments to Memorandum of Understanding. Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 receive this report by way of update and progress on Council Resolution number OM/05.2024/01. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to sign the amendments to the Memorandum of Understanding between Council and event people as facilitated by Sports Marketing Australia. 3, reaffirm to event people that Council is an event sponsor and not the event organiser or host.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak? Councillor Hancock?
Thank you.
Anybody like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0.
I'm out anyway, Mayor.
It's a mathematical job. Councillor Davis is back. C9, request for letter of support by Energy Group project. Councillor Seawright will leave the room for a conflict. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 receive and note the report, and 2 invite Bioenergy Group to present an overview of the proposal to Council at an upcoming Council briefing.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, Councillor O'Neill?
No, thank you.
Anybody like to speak? Let's go to the vote. 7-0. C10, Audit Committee appointment of external members. Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1 note that this report was presented in closed due to personal resumes and confidential information being included in the report for Council's consideration. 2, shortlist applicants 2, 5, 6 and 8 as external audit committee members, pending relevant background checks, including a phone interview between shortlisted applicants and Councillor Taylor, Councillor Brumpton and the Chief Executive Officer. 3, be presented with a subsequent report regarding a recommendation for the position of audit committee members and chairperson. And 4, note that the next audit committee meeting is currently scheduled for 16th of September 2024.
Seconder, Councillor O'Neill. Would you like to speak, Councillor Brompton?
Yes, thanks, Mayor Taylor. In previous meetings, Council elected to increase the membership of our audit committee to 4 external members and 2 council members. We also increased the remuneration consistent with market, and went to market and have had a number of highly skilled applicants apply. So this is encouraging for us, and we're now just going to the next stage of the process of appointing these members, which will set us up in good stead for future audit and risk throughout the organisation.
I agree. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. Similar to Councillor Brumpton, I think the decisions that this term of council have made to increase the audit committee to have a total of 4 independents with 2 council reps, it has been the right decision. I think the decision to increase the remuneration level has been the right decision as well, and that's evident by the calibre of the candidates that we've been able to attract for us to consider to join our audit committee for this term of council. It has been concerning that we weren't able to have a full suite of people sitting on the audit committee, but it appears that is now going to be rectified, and I'm really excited about that for Maranoa Regional Council. We've got a long road to go in terms of correcting the finances of Maranoa Regional Council, and I think the audit committee, particularly the new members that will be joining the audit committee in time are going to bring a wealth of knowledge to help add that vigour to our financial side of running Maranoa Regional Council. So I think this is a really exciting outcome, and look forward to a further report where we'll make a final decision on those individuals and be able to announce who they are to the community as well.
Would anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up,
I don't
Councillor?
think there's any need. Thank
Let's
you.
go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C11, request for waiver of interest assessment number 13000690. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the request. 2, not approve a waiver of interest rates or charges. 3, write to the ratepayer and advise that while Council is empathetic towards their situation and circumstances, it is impractical to offer financial assistance. 4, include in the above correspondence names and contact details for other agencies that may be of assistance to them at this time.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Just to say that We have looked at, obviously, we've looked at the situation, and we've looked at it in line with our policy. And at this stage, for me, it doesn't fit our policy. We've got many stages in our policy of rates and rate recovery to assist the the resident to be able to manage their way through this. And I just think in the circumstances we have, and I just support the resolution that's been put forward.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C12, Queensland Remembers Grants Program Round 4, consideration of project nominations. Councillor Seawright.
I wish to move that Council 1 apply for funding for the following projects: A, Roma Cenotaph Acknowledgement and Military Graves, Stage 2, and B, Surat Memorial Gardens and Memorial Upgrade and Refurbishment. 2, approve, if successful, a co-contribution amount of at least 10% of the total project cost included in the budget at an upcoming budget review. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign the funding application and funding agreements as required if the projects are successful.
Have a seconder? Councillor Davis, would you like to speak, Councillor Seawright? No? Anyone else?
Sorry, I think Councillor Vincent had a...
I was just going to say as included and include. Does it need to be and
Yeah, I just couldn't quite...
include in the budget at an
To be included.
As included in the budget.
Hasn't been included yet, has it? It's got to be to be.
So return of project to be included.
Yeah,
Project cost to be included in the budget.
thank you. I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with that.
Just in speaking to this, I think it's great that we are trying to upgrade and refurbish our memorials in honour of all our diggers. It's just a great recognition of those people who serve for our country.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C13, Heartache Hill Quarry Business Case. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 be presented with the proposed 24-25 financial year budget for the Headache Hill Quarry Development at the Q1 budget review. 2, authorise the CEO or their delegate to further advance development of the Headache Hill Quarry. And 3, authorise the CEO or their delegate to further consult with identified landowners and the outcomes of the consultation to be brought back to Council for consideration.
Seconder, Councillor Brompton. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
No, thank you.
Anybody like to speak? Let's go.
Just to say that moving forward, I think this is great to get Headache Hill Quarry up and going again, because it'll prolong our life of the Roma Quarry, and opens up more opportunities to tender for bigger jobs and be able to fulfil that commitment.
Very good. Anybody else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C14, Roma Saleyards Memorial Wall nominations. Actually going to defer this to a future meeting.
I'll move that we defer item C14 to a future meeting of council.
Have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. All those in favour?
Were
8-0.
you moving that, were you?
No, she wasn't.
I thought it was my job, but it wasn't.
Oh,
It was somebody else's.
yeah.
It's okay.
She's going with the flow.
It's all right. I'm all good. Okay. That was 14. So C15.
I've got a comment.
You're going out? Yep. Yeah, oh, sorry. Inju Museum, Diane Gibson artwork and drive trail map. Sorry, Councillor. Councillor Vincent's leaving the room. Councillor Brompton.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the officer's report by way of update on the project. 2, support the use of the original Diane Gibson artwork in the form of a Maranoa Drive trail map and wall art on the external wall of the Injune Museum. 3, be presented with a concept design prior to approval for manufacture.
Have a seconder? Councillor Hancock. Would you like to speak, Councillor Brompton?
No, I don't.
No. Councillor Hancock?
I would, thank you. No. I am excited to see the Diane Gibson artwork be used. It is beautiful work that
council commissioned many years ago and have the copyright for. And so I'm really excited that that can be used all over our region, and it has been. So I think this will look amazing on the side of the In-June Museum. But I just do want to note that in the recommendation that I'm supporting today, that the original Diane Gibson artwork is used, and that I'm excited to see that the concept would come back to council beforehand so that we can have some oversight over that.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0.
That's still counts.
Moving on to the late. LC1, Australian Government's Housing Support Program project nominations. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm happy to move, but through the mayor, Cam, is that tied enough? Is that giving us exactly what we're applying for?
Councillors, just on page 4 of the officers' report is probably the one that the officers are recommending there.
You got that, Nikita? Didn't get it yet. So, Mayor, I'll move the council 1, apply for funding for the following project under the Australian Government's Housing Support Program Stream 2, A, Roma East Water Improvement Project, and 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign the funding application and funding agreements if application is successful.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I think this is an exciting project. We all know that there are some concerns about our pressure to water and access to water on the eastern side of town. This project will go ways to addressing that, and it has a much more broader impact in terms of supporting developments on the eastern side of town, which will have a domino effect across our community in terms of bringing housing stock. But most importantly, we do have water concerns from residents on the eastern end of Roma, and this project, as I say, will address that. So I'm fully supportive of it, and I'll have everything crossed that we get the funding.
Anybody else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Is that it? Very good. Well, thank you all for your input today, and I'll close the meeting at 11:39. Thank you very much.